What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here, and my co-host, Mr. Eric Palacio.
Pleasure to be here with both of y'all.
I think you do more podcasts on my show than anybody else, even myself included.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad. I thank you for giving me that opportunity for sure.
I love it.
He's got some Hollywood time coming up.
He does. It's that smile. That charm.
It's gotten a lot of girls.
Oh, look.
That's for sure.
Oh my gosh. But no, man, we're pleased to have a Class A badass in the industry, man.
Absolutely.
Not just in the tree, but out of the tree, and inspiring individuals and students and teaching and investing back into the industry here. Mr. Bill Burley, welcome, my friend.
Thanks, Phil.
It's great to have you here.
Long time coming to get on here.
Yeah, it is. And everybody that's listening to this right now and driving wherever you're driving to, this is just a teaser. So it's coming. Okay, we're going to have Bill down at the studio. We're going to spend a couple days with him down there, maybe come down there and teach some classes for us. But we're going to have him down there, and we're excited. And you guys are going to hear his whole story. But today we're just going to give you a little teaser of that here at ArborFest here. That's Hans. Hans out there. What's up, Hans?
Big shout out to Big Hans.
Yeah, for that. So Bill, let's dive in, man. And I want to hear your story, because You've been a name in the industry since I've been in the industry, and I've always heard your name. I never got an opportunity to meet you, and the first time I met you was at a TCI trade show where Jared introduced me to. But your name seems to come out all the time, from that. And it's not just, like I said, what you do in the tree, but it's about outside of that for that. So how'd you get into this industry?
Well, this all starts when I was 14. Growing up in Rhode Island, a really small state, not much to do. A family friend of ours had a tree company, and when I wasn't playing baseball, I was in the tree. Not really in the tree. It took about 3 years before I even got a chainsaw in my hand, but it started out as dragging brush and chopping wood.
Okay.
And it just stuck.
Bill, who was that company, and are they still around?
They're still around. Verrier Tree Services, owned by Bob Verrier. He's actually moved into more of the firewood industry now.
Okay.
It supplies most of the restaurants in the Northeast with kiln dried firewood.
Oh.
Cool.
But yeah, it was just supposed to be a summer job to start, and then it just progressed more and more, and then I hit that 18-year-old mark, and it's like, hey, here's a chainsaw, here's a saddle. Hopefully you paid attention.
Did you?
And I fortunately I did. Fortunately, and I've been in the tree since.
Wow. So you never got out. So when was that moment that you knew that this industry, this is it? This is my industry?
I don't think that happened until about recent times.
Okay.
Obviously being in a smaller state with the smaller residential companies, kind of bouncing around and trying to find a good company to stay with. And there's a few good ones there.
Yeah.
I started out, obviously with Verrier and bounced to a couple of smaller ones, and I ended up with Northeast.
When you say there's a few good ones, what's the definition of a good tree service?
A good
Because I hear that all the time. Like, oh, they're a good one. What is a good one?
That's a good question.
So a good tree service is a company that you want to get up and go to work and put your 100% in every day.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of companies out there that you just want to go get your paycheck and get your ass home.
Yeah.
Those aren't good companies, or maybe there's just not the right thing between you and the company.
Yeah.
But a good company is you want to wake up in the morning, you go to work on time, you get there, you put 110% in, you stay until the job is done, you give it your all, make sure the customers are happy, you finish out the day, and you go home and do it all again the next.
Good. Okay. So getting into this industry, you started climbing. You remember that first tree you climbed?
Yes, I do, actually. Yes, I do.
How'd you do?
It was slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a small pine. It was on Johnson's Pond in Coventry. I'll never forget it because...
is the tree still there?
No, I finished it.
You finished it?
I finished it. But I will remember that it was the first time I took a top, and we were doing old school way, and it was all natural crotch rigging, half hitching over on itself, and out of my lack of knowledge, I half hitched it underneath so it locked up on me.
Okay.
And it went for my first ride. And I remember getting pinged around like a ping pong. And fortunately, I never did it again. But right then and there, getting off the ground and, getting up there and doing that job, like that's all it took. And
Gotcha.
then progressively getting more and more and larger trees. And now being out in California where we get the biggest trees out there.
They're big.
They're big.
They're big.
And it's just, being off the ground, I actually prefer to be off the ground more than I actually like walking on the ground.
Okay. Feel safer up there?
I feel safer because of the techniques that we've developed over the years, and obviously with the help of Eric in the industry, being one of my closest friends, developing the processes and developing the SOPs and the standards that we now follow, it's a lot easier to do the bigger work as long as you maintain in those parameters.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a roadmap now with SOPs and standard operating procedures. Back in the day, it was still a lot of like, well, we do this like this, I was like, well, fuck, that company does it this way, standards and the way that the industry has evolved on all of that has really helped out, because there was no roadmap for me and you.
No, there wasn't. No, not even, up until recently, there really wasn't, and not until, guys of our age have really come into the sectors and really kind of like dissected what was going on, like people like Jared and Axel, and all of us coming together and kind of figuring out what the best stuff to do is.
So writing an SOP, standing operating procedure, for anybody who didn't know what SOP is, great, write one. What do you do? How do you start? Is there a roadmap? And these are SOPs that individuals are using, not just for your company, but in the industry.
Yeah, they end up leaking into the industry because initially they get written a lot for like the people that we work for, the utility companies that absolutely need to know what the process is for you cutting down that tree, right? In the commercial, residential side, it's like you can do whatever you want, do it however you want, skin the cat however you want. You as well as us know, being in the utility wants to know exactly how that tree's coming down. And so I think that it's really come about best practices, rule of thumbs, industry standards, what that's already in ANSI, the little bit that OSHA has put out to the industry. What's your take on it? That's kind of how you build that roadmap, right?
Well, it starts there. It starts with somebody getting hurt, right? It always
unfortunately
starts with,
it starts with. Is there a way to do it so that doesn't have to happen, or do you need someone to be that sacrificial lamb to go,
unfortunately,
I didn't see that?
Unfortunately, so before we had what we have now, unfortunately, it had to be in response and reaction to something happening, some sort of incident. Now that we have kind of like a generalized roadmap of where we need to be and where we need to go, and knowledgeable people in the field, now we can actually see things developing before we get to that incident point. And then we can take a look at how those processes are being developed and what they're actually doing, and we can tweak it, right? Maybe sometimes we just have to give a little shove in the right direction, or maybe sometimes we just need a full revamp.
Yeah, gotcha.
And fortunately, there's enough knowledge within everyone in the industry where they have a good base, or a general good base of knowledge to do, right? How to get something done. A lot of times it's just, I'm looking at it from down here, and don't do that because it might miss and swing into something else, or something very simple where it can just stop them right then and there. And they have enough knowledge and enough information in their brain to say, okay, well, he said that, let me change to go this way.
Good.
Right? Hopefully that's the way it is. Hopefully it's not, and unfortunately in the utility sector we see it a lot where it's mass hirings, where we do have less than knowledgeable individuals climbing and being involved in tree removal operations, where unfortunately it's a complete stop and we have to revamp everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately that's the way it is, but that's, it's.
But I feel like people like us sitting at this table, and so much more like, I don't know if millennials too much, but the people that are our age, even in life, right? Like look at what phones. You remember having like a phone at home with a cord and everything, and
I'm not as old as you. No, I'm just kidding. No, No, I do.
You are.
My mom would follow that cord all the way into the closet.
Find you into the
like,
closet.
what is he doing? I'm like,
girlfriend.
I'm on the phone. Or she gets on the other line. Fill up, dinner's ready. I'm like, Mom, get the hell off the phone. No.
Look at what happened there, right?
Yeah.
And like there's people that just saw that. They just know that. My parents, your parents, they just remember that. There's other people like the young kids that we train that they're like, you had what kind of phone? Or like we talk about an Adam Sandler movie and they're like, what? Like who's Adam Sandler, right? We came from old school climbing, Blake's Hitches, taught by the guy that you were under, the foreman you were under, to like all these innovations, right?
Yeah.
Like to look at the gadgets, what has happened. Look at the ropes, look at all that stuff. So I feel we're just fortunate enough to be born at a time where like, boom, this blew up and we have that old school knowledge. We can integrate some of that and we can be helpful in creating these SOPs and helping. I mean, you do a lot of that for your company as well. And so I'm pretty sure you feel a little bit of the same, like having that knowledge from the old school and understanding the new school and what's all that come about. Yeah. It gives you a very good perspective of what the industry needs, what this gentleman needs so that we can make them into that climber like a Bill, like a Jared, you know? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, with creating that kind of, these SOPs and the trainings, we're going to take what took you 3 years to get into tree or 4 years to finally get into where we're putting people and training them up in 6 months. Yeah. And be able, because of the technology, because of our advancements, because of our training systems and the way they learn and the way they can absorb that, we don't have to wait 5-6 years to finally teach someone to get up and tree. Right. You can teach them a lot faster and help advance their career a lot faster in that because of the roadway or because of the pavement that you guys are paving right now.
And they didn't have to like kind of bump their heads into the tree like we did and stuff like that. And they didn't have to go through like
they didn't have to go through a ride.
We put them through a Blake's Hitch so they understand all those concepts, but they didn't have to climb for 2 years on the taut line or a Blake's Hitch, you know?
So for me, going back to the question of what it takes for the SOP. So you have to go on the mass, right? You have to develop a plan, a roadmap for a mass of individuals that can be repetitively done every single time correctly. And it can't be this extravagant, ultra complicated process. It has to be as simple as problem, the simplest way to the solution for the problem. And when you have that, you have your SOP that can be repetitively done every single time effectively. And then you have a little more advanced SOPs like vertical speed lining or speed lining in general, high line moving, etc. Advanced tree felling of hazardous trees, crane work. Yeah. Then you have a little more specialized SOPs that take a little longer to develop. And there's going to be a lot more bumps in the road because situations change.
Or machinery so new.
Yeah, or machinery like we're dealing with the Cenoboggans, the Fallbach and Diamonds. Or, it's just completely just starting from scratch all over again. Yeah. But fortunately, even though we have new equipment that we're dealing with processing on, we have the understanding of what it takes to make it safe. How do you make that whole entire work site safe? How do you make that process of removing that tree with that Cenoboggan safe? The knuckle boom, the knuckle, the grapple saw. How do you make that safe? Well, we have that generalized idea of how to make that safe now. So we're already further advanced than we were 15 years ago. Something new comes out, it's like, oh, wow, wait a second here. What can we compare this to? And there was nothing to compare it to. We didn't have process and drop zone or danger zone or felling zone. We didn't have any of that. But now we have it.
Good.
So it makes things a lot easier when things change. With this generalized roadmap, it makes it a lot easier to really hone in on each specific item.
Good. This stuff is, it's needed in our industry more and more and more. And it's not just one person, but a team getting around and helping and be able to build these. And then to take it back to the drawing board, scrapping it and starting over until we refine it to where your people aren't getting injured. People are not dying doing this work every single day. Now, I want to take this back again to what I was asking you earlier, and I kind of drifted off a little bit. That time you knew that this is it. This is the industry. this is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life.
Because you've done a little bit of different types of work as well, right?
Okay.
So I think until recently, it was kind of like you always try to get out of this industry. Right?
I thought it was only me.
No. So.
And why is that? Why? I mean, what else is?
So growing up in this industry, growing up from being 14, dragging brush and chopping wood, to now, like it was always the tree industry kind of was like a low level, like
it was a bunch of convicts and people who didn't make it in other industries, didn't have a driver's license, didn't have
so that's where tree care was. It was like lower level on the on what people had the persona of what you are, right?
Yeah.
And you always try to get away from it, but then whatever you're trying to get into doesn't work out. So tree care is always there, and it wasn't until probably the last 10 years where it was like, okay, no more trying to get out. This is it. This is where I'm going to concentrate my efforts on. I'm good at what I do. I can be better at what I do. I can go and do better things.
Yeah. Did you feel a shift in just the way you look at things, what you invested yourself in, the people that you helped? Was there a shift at all?
No, I think the big thing was the money.
Mm-hmm.
So the money started to get better.
Okay.
And I think that was one of the biggest things that's really changed this industry a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the money has become a livable wage for a tree care guy.
Yeah.
And back in the day, you could live on 12 to 15 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
Now you can't. Now you have to have the 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour in order to have a livable wage across the country. Mm-hmm. California, we know that livable wage goes into the $60 to $75 an hour.
Yeah.
In the tree care industry, you can do that now. We've moved up the level, right? So now it's a respectable industry where people we're like the European methodology, right? In Europe, being an arborist is a tree surgeon, right? You're up here.
Yeah.
Right? You're well respected.
Yeah.
And now here in the States, it's getting to that level.
Now, we're such innovators in the rest of the world, in technology, in manufacturing. Why are we so far behind compared to any other country there is out there in arboriculture, in Canada, in Australia, in Europe, in China, in Japan? Why are we so far behind?
Change takes money, right? Mm-hmm. Change takes a lot of money.
Mm.
Let's take the forestry standards in Europe, right? You have to have zero footprint, zero impact. So you have these forest crawlers that provide less than 3 pounds.
Yeah, everybody has a helicopter to
everyone
clean
has a
stuff.
That takes money. Clients don't want to pay, right? Up until recently in California, when it comes to the wildfires, that's the only reason why the industry has exploded the way it is, because it's a response to incident.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the money still wouldn't be there. We would still be back where we were 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So advancement takes money, and people have the willingness to change to meet those advancements. If your customer client doesn't want to pay for those advancements, why bother? I'm getting it done by throwing the chunk of wood on my shoulder and carrying it up that hill and dropping it in the back of a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Job's getting done. Why am I going to invest in a machine that can do it for me?
Yeah.
Plus, you're getting paid by hourly and all that kind of stuff.
There's no incentive to do it.
I'll follow you on this a little bit. I might sound like a conspiracy theorist with what I say for that, but you look at the hardest jobs in America, right? Which is picking fruit from a field, cleaning restrooms, whatever you want, doing this kind of work, the tree work. For utilities, for governments, those are the jobs that they need. Those are the people that they need. So they might say, politicians, we don't want illegals in this country. Well, who does the majority of the work that they pay for? Mm-hmm. And again, hopefully, we work for all the utilities. This is not to bash on anyone out there, but look at the tree industry. Like, you and me and all of us in here know that there is a lot of people that are illegal in the industry. Mm-hmm. A lot. Why do I want legal people that are smarter, that want a $70 an hour pay to do this job because they find out that it's extremely hazardous to do? Well, I just keep it to socioeconomically challenged people, you know, that someone who I know has a legal status of this sort. So that's why construction, as much as they say it's regulated, it's still the highest, you know, illegal people or people of low socioeconomics, utilities. These are the highest level of organizations in the world. Like, they don't want to pay for that. You know, they have people like us everywhere. Like, can you imagine what's going to cost to have 10 fills on my crew? Like, I can't afford it, you know? So, I mean, and I don't know if that makes sense. Or
because I might not be getting the work done if you have 10 of me out there.
Probably not. You know, I've seen you work. But
so we can look at this another way. So if we look at European standards when it comes to climbing, we know that some of their climbing standards are really tight.
Stringent.
Why did that happen? Right? So we have centralized healthcare in Europe for the most part. The centralized healthcare system started to see an influx of injury to arborists, right? So now they're paying out all these insurance claims. They're covering all the costs of medical and everything else. So centralized healthcare turned back to government, which instilled, well, why is this happening? They figured out, they did the root cause analysis, figured out why this is happening, and that's how we become some of their standards when it comes to climbing, to mitigate the insurance claims. Here in America, it's not going to happen. That's never going to happen here. Now, is regulation and law, we have two different things here, right? We have regulation that could have some gray area where you're allowed to move through. And then you have law, which is law. In Europe, they're finding out that having it on law is a bad thing. We don't want that here, right? So we have to understand that there's going to be some give and take. There's going to be some lack of innovation, lack of progression, because if we progress where they're at their point and becomes law, now we have a bigger a bigger issue.
Now there's going to be enforcers everywhere.
Yeah, it's like Jared was saying on I think it was with Travis's Vickerson's podcast, was we want to be regulated, but we don't want to be regulated.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, we want some
We've
rules
talked about that a lot.
To keep out, you know, the pickup truck, the, you know, not contractors, not insured type of guys, but we don't want to be too regulated on this kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you, I just talked to Cody, your guy.
Cody?
I think it's Cody. Anyways.
You might be right, but.
So I just talked to him about some stuff in Cali, and he's like, hey, man, now they're asking us to wear chainsaw pants in the tree. You know what I'm talking about now?
No.
I'm not going to say too many names.
Okay.
But this was just a conversation from one of your instructors. You know, I guess we've all been kind of busy. You know, we're always talking, you know, your guys too. And he's like, hey, Eric, what do you know about this in the industry? I'm like, there's nothing like that in there. He's like, well, we've been going to the assessments, and now today they asked us, like, now our guys have to be wearing chainsaw proof. And have you heard something like that? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. A little bit. Okay. So, like, this was just yesterday or the day before, and I was like,
they're pushing towards that right now.
Whoa. I'm like,
okay.
I'm
so
like,
it's new.
But it goes back to, like, where are people getting hurt? Like, no one's getting hurt in the tree. Like, you can't make rules just to make rules. You can't make laws just to make laws. Like, you got to see where people are dying, where people are getting hurt, and then that's where they go. You know, at some point, it becomes a conflict of interest if you're a company that's sponsored by someone that's pushing some product that helps you more than it helps the industry. You know, we've talked about this a lot with other people. Like, don't make rules that are just to make rules, you know, or someone get hurt, and like, we want to make a rule instead of being better at training, you know?
Well, it's all about regulation, right? So we know it's all about words. Regulation is good as long as you word it correctly, right? So you have to leave some room for someone to make a decision.
Yeah, interpretation.
The knowledge of whoever's making the decision, basing the situation to make the correct call.
Yeah.
If I tell you it has to be done X, Y, Z, but it can be done X, X, Y, then if I don't do it this way, like it says in the regulation, then I'm in non-compliance.
Right.
So you have to be very careful when you're writing these regulations to allow for someone to make their own decision.
Mm-hmm.
But the regulation has to be a very stringent guideline. Like, it gives you a certain area to move through.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, you have your parameter at the low side, the parameter at the high side. You stay in between the lines, you're good to go. Right? So we take, like, the most controversial one in Anzai, right? One-handing a chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Most controversial one, it'll never change. Right? What does Anzai say? 2 hands on the saw, be used at all times unless you can prove that there is a potential for a greater hazard by having 2 hands on the saw.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not word for word, but that's pretty much what it says.
You prove it, you write it down, you document it,
You're good to go. That's what regulation has to be done.
Disclaimer, we're not telling anyone to go out there and one-hand anything.
They're like, oh man,
Phil said
Eric and Bill, you know. Like, but by the time you know it, Ludo's going to know that you were saying that.
But that brings up another point, right? So we have Anzai Z133 or whatever SOP is for your company, for Atlas or Mowbray's or whoever. The person reading it has to read it what it says, right? There's not a lot of room for interpretation, right? It gives you the should or shall. Those are your interpretation points. If it's a shall, it's mandatory. If it's a should, then you can use your judgment, right?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Unless there's an exception in the standard that says unless you can prove or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that are taking Anzai and reading it and using their own interpretation of what it says. I mean, it's black and white. It says what it says. If you're not saying, well, it says I might have to do this, or no, I don't like how that's written, so I'm not going to do that. There's no interpretation needed. It says it black and white.
Yeah.
You interpret should or shall. That's all you need to interpret.
Mm-hmm.
If it says shall, it's a mandatory. If it's should, you can use your better judgment.
Plus, the Secretariat is really the only one that can interpret or like kind of define what it's really talking about, which is ISA. And you shouldn't be trying to say this says this, you know, when it really doesn't. Or trying to make your own conclusion out of it.
When everyone, and I hope people understand what I'm trying to say here, is we have standards that are written. Most of us didn't have any play in writing them. That's okay. But it is a document that is to govern the safety practice, the best safety practices possible in our industry. It's not up for you to interpret unless it says you can interpret this section.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get past that, then the industry incident rate's going to lower. Yeah. And then we can go back on the revision board and we can see what needs to change, you know, based on what everyone's feedback. Yeah. And then we can make the changes and revise what the standard says. But if everyone's out there making their own opinions about what this thing says and doing their own thing, then we can never get that standard to a point where it's got to be functional.
Gotcha.
I think Callie's doing a really good job of kind of all of us being, I mean, look at us. We all work with different contractors out there, and we're more on the same page that we've ever been. I mean, me and you talk all the time, and like we just had a pretty good conversation about one of the machines. Me and you had another conversation about another machine last week as well, you know? So great conversation. Changing it a little bit, I know me and Phil were talking about, you know, people that have been instrumental in our industry. You know, I tell him he's been kind of instrumental in my upbringing, you know, and, you know, just the work that he's done. And, you know, I look up to him in some of the work that he does. Who's been that kind of person while you were coming up, you know, or that kind of company, whatever, you know, or who's been instrumental in your career?
There's been a lot, but the number one person is Melissa Levangie.
Oh, Melissa's awesome. Yep.
Melissa is... She's been a Shelter Tree for a very long time.
Yeah. Big shout out to Melissa. They threw an awesome party out there yesterday.
Yep.
At
growing up in Rhode Island, Shelter Tree was the closest place you would get stuff. I was always up there, always picking her brain. And after making some career changes and being out in California,
yeah,
she has stuck by me. I can text her, I can call her, I can ask her questions.
Such a good attitude always when you call her.
Always positive, always has good feedback.
Is she here?
They might be. They were still in Massachusetts yesterday.
Okay.
So Melissa is one of them.
Gotcha.
She's the one that really has. I don't know. She hasn't really pushed me, but when I ask for help, she's there to give it, and I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
Right. And that's super important in this industry because there's not enough people out there that are willing to share their knowledge.
Yeah. Answer the phone when you call them.
Right.
I mean, to have a question about the stuff that we go through, equipment. She knows equipment like anything else. And
That's good.
yeah, like you said, the attitude, you know, she's just always positive.
Yeah. No, she is.
And she's a badass. Like, I
Yeah,
can
she
see you
is.
looking up to someone like that,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah, she is.
like you would look up to too many people. So you're a
man.
badass yourself. But when, you know, women in the industry like that, she's top notch.
And
the
what
one.
she,
Her and
what,
Bear.
what she, what they both have done, Melissa and Bear, what they both have done for the women in the industry, is that you can't even quantify it.
No.
You know, starting the women's tree climbing workshops, getting everyone involved in there. You know, it's an incredible feat that, you know, it needed to happen, right? It needed to. There's some badass women in this industry.
I love having girls on the team. I absolutely do. It changed the whole dynamic of the whole culture of out there in the field, the way they think and the way they talk and the way they perform the work. I mean,
Keeps you on your toes.
I love it.
Keeps you on your toes. What's this young girl that works with you guys? Tall young girl.
Kira?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's
Same
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
She came from the
Attitude.
Butte College program.
Wow.
A rock star. Awesome.
This guy right here, big shout out. I'm glad you brought that up. Some of the first people that presented the class, Bill was part of creating the curriculum, you know, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We got to give you a big shout out on doing that. You just finished up one of the last classes, right?
So we're on class number 9 right now.
Wow.
In San Bernardino County. We have over an 80% placement rate
Wow.
for
That's
all of our
awesome.
graduates.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We're doing ours in Chico coming up next month, and then the month after that, Annie just told me they're bringing in high school kids. I
Hey,
was like so
start 'em
excited.
young.
I'm like, finally, we're not gonna have all crackheads in the class. No, I'm messing. But
the
you know,
program's a
we're
great
giving
program.
everybody opportunity, and like I can't tell you how many people have come there as adults that maybe had a rough past. Maybe, you know, we're fucking a halfway house. You know, I've had dudes where I'm like, he's like, oh, I don't have a ride. Like, can you go drop me off at the halfway house? I'm like, as long as I don't stay there with you, like I can drop you off. You know, I've been there myself. But you know, it's like so cool to see people be able to change their life. We do it on a daily basis with regular people at our companies, but when you see this brand new person who's looking for a change in their lives after being better, after serving their time, you know, with government or whatever, like, and then you help them get through that. I mean, the satisfaction, like, I mean, you and me have talked about it, about how good it feels to be able to do that, because we were once maybe there at some point, you know. I mean,
being able to give someone some direction that's never had direction. You know, bouncing from job to job, maybe it's McDonald's, maybe it's Burger King, wherever, right? And now they have a career that they're going to stick with and they're going to actually enjoy being in. That's big.
Yeah.
That's a life-changing thing. We'll take the Butte College program as our little incubator here. These people coming to this class, they might, you know, never have a good career.
Yep.
You know, never be able to support themselves. And now all of a sudden they finish with a 5-week program with us. And now they're getting into this industry, which they literally don't ever have to leave.
200 hours of training. There's people in our industry that's been working for 10 years and never had 200 hours of training.
So we looked at that.
golly.
We looked at this. For the 200 hours of training, it would take, for me to see that one individual in the field, it would take me about 1.5 years
Wow.
to get 200 hours of time with that individual. And it's not going to be quality training because it's going to be in between what they're doing in the field. They're going to be occupied with doing something else. This is 200 hours of focused time.
I've seen the product.
Yeah.
I've seen
you
the
have one of my
product.
students up there.
I've seen it. They're coming through, and then I don't even tell anybody when they come through a trial, and they go, where'd you work at? What? Wait, where'd you learn that? Where'd you learn that? And they're like, oh, I went through that. And then they go, wow. You know, I don't want them to give any, the trainers that are out there assessing them. I don't want to tell them anything. I just want them to go through it. And then they're like, wow, from that. But
It's
it
a
is.
true
I've seen the product.
evaluation.
The product's awesome. Awesome.
True evaluation.
And it's not just, you know, training them how to do tree work and this and that, but it's also training them just about how to be a better human being, how to be a hard worker, how to be respectful, how to show up on time. Those things they'll take with them forever, even if they stay in this industry or don't stay in this industry.
Anyone can teach you how to climb.
I'm glad you said that. Stay or don't stay. That's where being the trainers of that program, it's super important for us to place them in the right spot.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't send everybody to the Atlas team. I had one individual that would make the Atlas cut. Having, the relationships that we have within the industry, being able to leverage those, saying, "Hey, I've got some good people to put in your program," and pushing them in the right place, that makes them stay.
Yeah.
When you push them to the wrong place, or just leave them up in the wind for someone else to place them, that doesn't work. Next thing you know, they're out of the job, and they're doing whatever they were doing before.
So getting them in the bucket and shaking it around like they used to do to us, it doesn't work no more.
No, we still do it. We still candlestick them and shut the,
All right, this guy's not going to cut it.
So Bill, being in the industry since 14, working with different companies from residential to larger utility companies to writing curriculum to working with colleges to the ANSI board, so many different entities, companies have had your fingertips informing them over the years. What's some of the wisdom or tips from the top that you can give the person driving their truck right now to work this morning, someone that's having a bad day and just about ready to give up? That person's listening to this call right now, and you're probably listening to it going, oh, wait, okay, this is me. He's going to talk to me. What kind of wisdom can you pass?
So I actually say the same thing that I'm going to say right now to my classes on the first day. This industry doesn't care where you've been, doesn't care what you've done in the past, doesn't care about anything that's holding you back. This industry is based on what you want. If you want to succeed, you put your best foot forward, then you're going to succeed.
Absolutely.
If you want to be a grapple driver, you can be a grapple driver. If you want to ride a crane ball, you can ride a crane ball. If you want to be a crane operator, you can be a crane operator. The only one that's going to hold you back in this industry is you. If you show up to work on time, you give it your best, this industry will give you everything you need. And that's the only thing you can say about it.
Wow.
That's good, man. That's good.
What a great way to probably end this session.
It's gonna end it, guys.
And
listen,
you gotta stay tuned because Bill will be at the ranch in Santa Rosa, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You definitely have more to your story than what was told today.
Yeah.
And, hearing a little bit about the SOPs and the policies and teaching in the colleges, and just recently of figuring this is it. 10 years ago, I'm going to stay in this industry. We're going to hear more, and we'll do it over maybe some cold beers, or if you don't drink, some waters. Jared and I will drink, or Jared sometimes just drinks for me too. But no, man, we appreciate you jumping on and giving us a little taste, and what you do for the industry and everything. And I like that. It's what you want out of the industry is what you can get. You're the only one that's going to hold yourself back. Guys, this is Phil and Eric Palacio with Bill, bringing you 3 tree guys.
That's right.
No beer this time, but 3 tree guys. So stay tuned to next time, and continue to elevate.
2 tree guys and the guy from Hollywood.
Man, it's always it's great to call you our colleague. It's more awesome to call you our friend. Thanks for taking time to sit down with me and Phil, and we hope to see you at the ranch soon.
Absolutely.
That's it, guys.
Glad to be there.
Continue to elevate the standard. Awesome. See ya. Bye.